They are doomed to a life of darkness, hidden away from the eyes of the world. Children disfigured and helpless at birth. And yet even now, amazingly, hope is still possible, thanks to some compassionate and caring volunteers from our state. Tonight, come along on the road and watch some miracles from Minnesota happen before your very eyes. I'm Jason Davis. Meet the Minnesotans who are changing people's lives in Peru. It is said that a visit to the South American country of Peru can change you forever. From the spectacular Andes Mountains to the historic cities of Lima and Cusco, this colorful country can take your breath away. These people have come to Peru from many places and all walks of life. Volunteers all, anxious to do whatever they can to improve the lives of kids who otherwise would face a lifetime of misery. They are here to work for the Smile Network, a Minnesota-based organization pledged to help fix the faces of poor kids around the world who are born with cleft lips and palates. The Smile Network reaches out to these disfigured children who live in some of the worst slums on the planet. We're on our way to meet some of these kids whose future is about to change for the better. In a damp and cold one-room apartment in Cusco, Peru, taxi driver Miguel Holgado and his partner Nilda Flores have a child who was born with a double cleft lip and a cleft palate.
How old is Miguel?
¿Y cuántos meses tiene?
3.
3 meses.
Sí.
Okay, he's 3 months old.
He's a big boy.
He is a big
There is a chance that Miguel Jr. will qualify for free surgery that would change his appearance and his life. An opportunity that his father feels is like a dream come true.
When he found out about the campaign and that this surgery was free, he's been finally able to sleep at night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Gracias, mi amor.
Surgery provided by doctors and nurses from Minnesota, Canada, and Mexico. Supported by volunteers from places like Long Lake, Apple Valley, Excelsior, and Minnetonka Beach. The expertise, money, and care will all be provided by the Minneapolis-based Smile Network, a non-profit organization created and nurtured by a remarkable woman named Kim Valentini.
If we don't fix these kids will never go to school. They'll never get married. They'll never have a job. They'll never do all those things in life that you and I take for granted. They live a life in darkness, hidden away in seclusion.
This is their one chance.
This is their chance, yeah.
A chance. That's what these volunteers are here to give these kids. There's no easy way to alleviate their poverty or lack of education. There's little anyone can do to bring back a father who has abandoned them. But in this 1 week in Peru, about 50 tiny faces with disfiguring cleft lips and palates will be fixed. This miracle of human kindness can only happen because of people like 51-year-old Catherine Alexander, a businesswoman from Minnetonka Beach, Minnesota. Catherine has come to Peru to take on 2 very different challenges. First, she and 16 other volunteers will test themselves by hiking the legendary Inca Trail, a grueling 4-day trek through the arid Andes Mountains.
It was the most difficult physical challenge I've ever had. It was tough.
It's a unique way for the Smile Network to attract volunteers and donors, people who want to combine their love of adventure with compassion for others. While the trekkers were winding their way along the ancient trail, we were on our way to meet them. Kim Valentini and I took a train through the valleys, hills and mountains to a small village in central Peru where a bus took us even deeper into this remote area. It was a steep climb around many hairpin bends on a gravel road barely wide enough for one vehicle at a time. This part of our journey ended at one of the world's most spectacular historic sites, the fabulous Machu Picchu, the famed lost city of the Incas. But to make our rendezvous with the trekkers who were struggling up the other side of the mountain, we had to hike 1.5 miles up the rocky Inca Trail, a climb of over 1,000 feet. Our destination lies 8,000 feet above sea level. The air is thin, breathing is difficult, and there's a long way to go.
I want to know if we're halfway up, a quarter of the way up, or nearly there.
Well, we're going right through there.
The Gate of the Sun, built by the Incas 550 years ago.
This is it. This is where we'll meet them.
Before they get to the gateway, the trekkers face a final barrier, a flight of rocky steps that nearly defeat 48-year-old Abba Kopp, a native of Robbinsdale, Minnesota.
I couldn't even make it up those last 50 steps, and I could see my children and my husband at the top. I couldn't get up there.
Literally, you look straight up, and it's just like, oh. Give me your hand.
Abba Kopp found the trek so hard that at one point she burst into tears.
Was it tears because, oh my God, the pain that I'm going through is nothing what these children of Peru and Cusco are going through? I don't know, Jason. All I know is I was emotionally spent. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life.
You're almost there.
It was tough, and they didn't have to do it. They volunteered, even paid for the privilege, and also raised thousands of dollars to help support the next challenge they face.
I had committed to do the whole trip for them, so the steps were just a part of it.
I chose a difficult situation. They don't choose their difficult situations. They've got the poverty and they've got the physical deformities from birth. They don't get a choice in that matter.
They are here for the kids of Peru who have been born with disfiguring cleft lips and palates, children who face an uncertain future.
Oftentimes, children born with these types of deformities are left to die. It is a belief within this culture that a child born amongst a village with a cleft is a curse.
Poverty is widespread in Peru. The slums of Lima are among the worst in the world. An average of 1 child in 3,000 is born here with cleft lips and palates. No one knows exactly why, but Dr. Isidro Gutierrez, a pediatrician from Mexico, says a combination of poor nutrition, often closely related parents, pollution, and infectious diseases all play a part.
We don't know exactly which one is the important one in each case, so we only can fix, we can't prevent.
The adventure part of this momentous project is over. Now the volunteers, doctors and nurses from Minnesota are about to fix a lot of kids' faces and their parents' broken hearts. A miracle is about to occur before our very eyes. Many of them come from remote villages high in the Andes Mountains. They have walked for days to get here. With them, they bring their most prized possession, a child. An infant born with an all too common deformity and doomed to a life hidden from society, an outcast with a miserable future. Today, these parents have come to this regional hospital in a pretty tourist town called Cusco, hoping their child will be lucky enough to be selected for a free operation that will change their life. But this group of volunteer doctors and staff, led by the Minnesota-based Smile Network, are here for just 5 days. There's only so much they can do.
We were planning on 50 surgeries. We're told that we're going to have over 100 kids here today.
So 50 are going to be disappointed?
50, unfortunately, are going to be turned away.
The selection process is both efficient and heartbreaking. As the waiting room fills to overflowing, each child is given a number and photographed.
10.5.
A pediatrician examines them to make sure they're strong enough to survive the anesthetic and surgery, and every family is interviewed.
He doesn't understand why this happened to him and his family. He only wants his son to be able to lead a healthy life. I can't explain the happiness that I will feel once my son has had this surgery.
Suddenly and surprisingly, a woman shows up who has lived for 68 years with a severely deformed mouth. Her name is Manuela Lizarazo, and she says she would rather die than go on like she is.
She said that it's been so difficult for her entire life that all she wants is to have this operation so that she can go on because she doesn't have the will to live anymore.
Manuela will have to take her chances among all the other patients for a shot at an operation.
These are the forgotten. These are the people that nobody else takes care of unless organizations like ours step in and do this.
Each case is carefully evaluated, files are created, and a series of red cards produced representing each patient who desperately needs help and is deemed strong enough to withstand the surgery. The selection committee also considers how far they've come.
Okay, this one walked for 3 days, the one you moved to Friday.
But some kids are just too weak. This family spent days walking in from the mountains. The child is so severely deformed that the milk spills out of its nose and mouth. He is slowly starving to death. The baby is too small.
Too small.
Underweight.
And the risk is too high because it's underweight.
We'll return in August. I'm very sorry, lo siento. Lo siento.
But Kim Valentini knows this child will probably not make it until next year.
I just hope we see them back. I'm sorry. I know we can't fix it, but I know how poor these people are. Look at the disappointment on Mom's face. It
broke your heart.
It breaks your heart.
The next day, the teams of medical staff and volunteers swing into action. It's what these people have come here for, to actually participate in changing lives by taking infants from the arms of their parents and carrying them into surgery.
It's a whole nother world. It's been phenomenal, the change that you make in these kids' lives and the reaction of the parents. They're just so grateful that people will come and help their children.
Under the skilled hands of Canadian surgeon Patricia Bertoluzzi and Mexican surgeon Concepcion Mejia, the deformed lips are literally disassembled and rebuilt.
You dissect it, and you bring it back together in the midline.
I can't imagine going through life with a disfiguration as these children do. And to see that change in a matter of minutes is just spectacular.
Our little friend from several days before, 3-month-old Miguel, has made the cut. It was my privilege to take him from his parents.
He's such a good boy. Okay, we'll bring it back.
He's going to be a new boy in about 2 hours with a new smile, okay? No preocupas de nada, okay?
This is a very big day for little Miguel. He doesn't know what they're going to do to him, and he'll have no memory of this. But you know what? We'll never forget it.
Within minutes, Miguel's tiny body lay quiet under the anesthetic.
Now in this case, he's got way too much lip.
As the sure hands of Patricia Bertoluzzi cut, rearranged, and sewed his upper lip. We watched in awe as this little boy's face was changed before our very eyes. And soon, it was over.
He's awake
Él está levantado
and very handsome.
y muy guapo.
In a recovery room full of patients, Miguel's parents were amazed by the change in their son. Apart from a small piece of surgical tape on his upper lip, there was no sign of the deformity he had only an hour or two before.
Now it's looking like
A beautiful boy.
a beautiful boy. It's a miracle.
We were surrounded by miracles. They had completed 10 life-changing surgeries in one day. Like a well-oiled machine, the volunteers and medical staff from Minnesota, Canada, and Mexico had fixed a series of cleft lips and palates for families who could never have afforded the operation. But all eyes were on a tiny woman who had lived as an outcast for 68 years and is about to get free surgery to fix her severely deformed lips. Coming up, she looks into a mirror and sees a very different face. If there's one patient who stole the hearts of the Minnesota volunteers for the Smile Network, it's 68-year-old Manuela Lizarazo. After a lifetime of being an outcast with a severely disfigured face, she's about to see her brand new image after an operation that completely changed the way she looked. Everyone around her was excited, but shown a mirror for the first time, she was strangely unmoved. One of her daughters explained that she was worried the change would be too much of a shock for her family and village.
And the other brothers and sisters don't know about
know?
the surgery of the mom.
Okay.
So she thinks it's gonna be a beautiful surprise for them, but she don't know. She's just a little afraid.
Well, tell her we're very happy for her. Gracias. Gracias, Mom. De nada.
It's moments like these that make it all so worthwhile for Kim Valentini. She set out to change lives all over the world, but in the end, the life most changed was that of this mother of 2 teenagers.
She thought it'd be like a 10-hour-a-week job kind of thing, do 50 surgeries a year. Turns out it's 40 hours a week every single day of her life.
It's always kind of hard having your mom gone, but if she weren't to help these people, I don't know who would.
I kept seeing children and realized how easily it could be fixed, but these children are the forgotten in their cultures. They're really the poorest of the poor, and nobody cares about them. Nobody is there to help them, and I just saw that I could take my skill set from the corporate world and apply it to this and make a difference. What you see and what takes place here is changing lives, but there's so many things that have to happen to get us to this point, and without donations, without participation of volunteers back in Minnesota, it doesn't happen. The type of kids that we serve, they're never going to experience the tenderness of a kiss. They're never going to go to school. They're never going to get married. They're never going to have careers, all for lack of access to a 45-minute surgery that costs us $500. You don't need to speak the language of the parents to know that you've made a difference. When you hand that child back to that parent, the only common language you need is love, and you look into their eyes and you see how deeply grateful they are. I always say it changes who you are as a human being. You do that exchange once and you are a different person. You hand that precious piece of cargo back to that parent, and as of that moment, the future is different.
Good luck. Okay. Bye.
Adios.
Baby, there's nothing in this world that could ever do what the touch of your hand can do. It's like nothing I ever knew before.
Never before in my career have I had the privilege of documenting such a dramatic change in the lives of people in such desperate need. These surgeries may not bring these kids the good life as we know it, but at least they'll be able to face the future with a smile. I'm Jason Davis. Drive carefully, and we'll see you next week.
When I see you smile, I can face the world. You know I can do anything. When I see you smile, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, you know I can do anything. When I see you smile, baby, when I see you smile at me. Every day of my life, yeah. You make everything alright. Yeah, baby.
You're welcome.
Smile at